And I think part of the reason is for there's another announcement around standards that came out this week, not about data, but sort of related because it's about what's going to be using that data. And this is a open framework for building AI agents, and it's a consortium of companies, including Cisco. Again, they've been busy. LangChain and Galileo, with participation by Llama Index and Glean. And they're creating what they're calling AGNTCY, and they're calling themselves an open source collective. And it's sort of, I mean, what it strikes me, I think they even say this in here, it strikes me as sort of similar to the establishment of the TCP/IP standard, right? This idea of a standard protocol that allowed the interoperability and connections. TCP/IP, of course, was in networks, but here they're trying to do this with agents, with the fundamental premise being that it allows agents to have this sort of universal standardized framework to collaborate and interact, even if they're operating at different levels of the stack and being developed and deployed by different companies. And I think it's going to be interesting, right? As you know, an organization that is currently going down this road, we're of course doing everything via API, and which is the way everyone is doing it right now, right? That's really the only way. That's our level of interoperability, and so it'll be interesting to see if this is compelling enough to drive it. What I think is notable is that there are several other frameworks out there for agentic modeling, and you know, LangChain's the only one on here, and so you know that's going to be a question mark, right? Where are the other players, and how are they going to be successful in getting this up? But I think, and you know, we talked about Outshift by Cisco, who had made some noise about this earlier, right?
Right.
And I think they have a vested interest in seeing some of this. I think in the end, this is an example of something that's eventually going to hit. But the question here is again one of timing. Are we too early? Is it just, are we just not there yet? And so I don't know what your take, or did you read anything into it?
Yeah. You know, the agentic world is such a world of silos right now. We started by talking about the ServiceNow Yokohama launch, and part of the challenge right now for ServiceNow, of course, they made their a recent acquisition to help on the agentic side, but you know, it's still fundamentally an agentic island in the big picture, because ServiceNow has their island, Salesforce has their island, you know, IBM has their island. Like, everybody has their island of agents, which is great if you are working within their particular ecosystem, but not particularly great for the world at large. There's yet to be the Switzerland of agents that figures out how to make this work. And part of the problem is, from a technology perspective, the inability to make agents from different islands talk to each other, and to be able to discover agents outside of your island. So I think this idea of agency, AGNTCY, agency, is a good one Cisco and company are working on. And I think Cisco is also taking a smart approach and realizing that they are a fundamental company from a connectivity and networking perspective, and that somebody is going to have to bring all this stuff together. And honestly, that role has often come to Informatica traditionally in the business world, and I think Cisco sees an opportunity to perhaps get around that, or create this ecosystem first for cross-platform agent management and discovery.
Yeah, so we'll be watching to see how that develops and if it takes root. I think, you know, we've talked about several of these over the last year, I would say, and I would say none of them have really caught fire. So I guess we'll see. But I think, you know, we talked about this just last week, where there's definitely bubbling interest within the enterprise to try to figure out how to manage all of this. And I do think, you know, like ServiceNow is one of their things when they made their announcement, is trying to be the control tower, and Salesforce has done something similar. And so clearly there's some vendor recognition, and I think you're right. I think it's, you know, certainly if I'm an enterprise leader, I'm looking for a third party approach to that, because I really don't want all my eggs in one basket. I don't really trust that that's going to work or be in my best interest. But right now there isn't an alternative. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how that goes.